The Seahawks get embarrassed again at home, this time by your division rival, the 49ers. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show, where we love Seattle pro sports. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we're here to talk about the Thursday night football game of the Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers, and how the Seahawks lose again in embarrassing fashion. I mean, it's embarrassing anytime you hear your hometown crowd booing at the end of the game, and this team deserved it, frankly. I mean, at one point it was close, right? We had multiple opportunities throughout this game to score a touch. If we would have scored a touchdown, we would have taken the lead. That was, again, multiple points throughout this game, but we could not get that done. It was Geno Smith's birthday today. Happy birthday to him. I don't know if he was celebrating too hard the night before or earlier today, but he looked off. He has been your best and most consistent player to this point of the season, but today he was not. He looked straight up horrible, which is, I feel bad saying on his birthday, but that's the truth. He didn't look good. Today he was 30 for 52 for 312 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, costly interceptions, with a rating of 65.5. He was sacked just the one time. He did face pressure all day. It's kind of nice watching on Amazon and having the analytics right there, and you could see that Brock Purdy has more than half a second of clean pocket time, more than what Geno Smith has, and we know this if you look at analytics. Geno Smith overall has the least amount of time in the pocket than any other quarterback in the NFL this year, which is no surprise because our offensive line had questions to go into this season to begin with, and then you get injuries across that line, and it just gets worse, right? And it just has, it hasn't looked good. But today Geno was not able to make up for that. In the previous games, he has made up for that. Today he did not. He himself looked off. Say maybe he was partying too hard for his birthday because his accuracy was off. The ball didn't look like it had the same zip on it as it normally does coming out of Geno Smith's hands. I mean, honestly, the ball did look like it was coming out of his hands slower. It was like there'd be a guy open, and you'd see him throw the ball and be like, when is the ball going to get there? Like, why isn't the ball there yet? That's how slow his passes felt tonight. And at times watching him, it felt like he was not, freely throwing the ball and passing the ball, on target. It seemed like he was guiding it. And anytime you look at a quarterback and it looks like they're trying to guide it to a spot, something's off. And Geno Smith was off. I don't know if it was, again, just the birthday or it just happened to be the day today where he's off. But yeah, that's the case. He was off today. Didn't look great. And we needed him to be great today because, again, they gave him 52 attempts in this game. We did get some more carries and touches for Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet in this game. Kenneth Walker went 14 carries for 32 yards. He did get that nice touchdown. Charbonnet had 5 carries for 20 yards. But that's just 52 yards total as a team on 19 carries. That's not good either. And again, that offensive line did not look good. They were not giving anything They're not creating anything there for K9 really. And they have a good defensive front, and K9 wasn't able to make any magic happen. So that's disappointing. But again, look at that. 52 passing attempts to 19 rushing attempts, still not balanced. I know that's great that they came out here. They got more rush attempts in there, but it's still not enough. Because the balance isn't there. You got to be more balanced. You got to be able to run play action. I mean, I know Grubb and what he was doing in college, but do you really need to be running empty that often? I don't think so. This is the NFL. That's great that he wants to be aggressive, and Mike McDonald's okay with him being aggressive, but they need to get it together. They need to get together, and Mike McDonald himself has said he's never coached offense. He doesn't know anything about that side of the ball, so he leans on his staff for them to be able to know what to do and to make the right calls. But he is the head coach, so he does need to have influence there, and he needs to, get in there and tell him, hey, this kind of balance, this is not the plan that we're looking for. They, before the season started, they said they were going to be a rushing team and they were going to pound the ball, but we haven't seen that up to this point. I mean, there's been a couple games where our running backs just happened to go off, but I mean, this is a pass happy offense, very unbalanced, and that needs to change. Let's give props to our receivers for what they did today. Lockett had 4 receptions for 65 yards and a touchdown. Fant had 6 receptions today for 63 yards. JSN had 5 receptions for 53. DK had 3 receptions for 48. K9 had 8 receptions for 37. Bobo 2 for 18. Charbonnet had 1 for 15. Barner had 1 for 13. So, again, good numbers overall. 312 passing yards. And get 30 receptions in total. But there was still not great out there. Again, the chemistry, the connection with Gino wasn't there tonight. DK had plenty of targets. He had 11 targets tonight, but again, just the 3 receptions. And that was a combination of, passes just being off and DK not being able to shake the defense. Same went for JSN and Tyler Lockett as well. I mean, Lockett had 8 targets. JSN had 9 targets. But the delivery from Gino wasn't there. There was a couple tough catches that Lockett almost made that would have been amazing catches that we're normally used to seeing him make that he didn't make. But yeah, that's the game. There. And we're still not protecting the ball. JSN had a fumble. Luckily, we recovered it, but Laviska Shenault, that was a costly fumble that he lost in our territory, giving the 49ers a short field, and it cost you again. I mean, the turnovers have just been insane this year. This is not what we're used to seeing with our Seahawks team. In these interceptions, these fumbles, going across the team, that we're not used to seeing that. And that's something that needs to get coached up and fixed. Defensively, we're not going to read the stats off here of individual tackles or anything, but we will mention the defense and talk about it because it was horrible. Once again, I mean, we'll talk about the 49ers numbers to, show our example. Purdy today, 18 for 28. 255 yards, 3 touchdowns, 129 rating. All those stats look good, but he didn't really look good himself. It was that the fact that our defense was playing so bad. Our coverage was off. There was oftentimes 2 or 3 guys just wide open. Purdy just had to pick which one he was going to throw to. Again, maybe this soft zone defense that Mike McDonald's running, again, I saw it last game. Maybe we see it again this game. There needs to be a little bit more press coverage, more man coverage. Just maybe I'll see that there was some more when I watch the tape when the all 22 becomes available. But from what I could tell on the TV broadcast, it looked like we were running a lot of zone, and again, a lot of miscommunication happening in that, and that's just making easy throws for Brock Purdy. I will say, because I think Brock Purdy is quite overrated, but I did see Brock Purdy make 2 quite elite throws in this game. The touchdown pass that he had to Kittle, that was perfect. And there was one throw that he made to Ayuk where, he timed it on the money. It was actually leading Ayuk, so Ayuk was able to get yards after the catch afterwards. That was an elite throw, but again, it was right in his zone. Again, another game where we see Mike McDonald's defense getting torn apart, where these offenses they're figuring out the spots that are the weak spots in this cover defense that Mike McDonald's running, and whatever he was doing to try to disguise things in the past, you in theory those things should still work, but teams maybe there's something that he's doing that other teams, maybe they have analytics on it where they're seeing tendencies that we're not noticing on where those zones are going to be running. But we've seen it a couple games in a row now where they're just easily getting to these soft spots and making easy completions. And then again, our run defense was horrible. I mean, and obviously to cap the game off with that Isaac Guerrero. Does anybody know who that guy is? I follow football so closely. I don't know who Isaac Guerrero is. He caps the game off, ends this game, puts the nail in the coffin with a carry of a 76-yard long run. That's ridiculous. He had 10 carries for 99 yards. Jordan Mason had 9 for 73. Purdy had 4 for 19. You had Patrick Taylor have 5 for 16. Deebo Samuel had 4 for 15. Kyle Juszczyk had 1 for 6. You gave up 228 yards on the ground. That ain't right. We saw how bad the running defense was the last couple of years, and I'm being serious. I'm honest. So far this year, it's looking worse. We were all feeling good during those first 3 games where we won, but if you go back, watch the tape, as I said I did, and I mentioned I noticed, and if you look at the stats, it's not good. The rush defense hasn't been good all season long, and it just so happens the last couple of games, it's been like horrendous, and it cost you, right? It cost you. We gave up a ton of yards to the Patriots as well, right? But we won. It didn't cost us. This one, 228 yards on the ground. That's horrible. But then again, look at the balance that the 49ers have that you didn't have on offensive play calling. They had 28 passing attempts, 33 rushing attempts in total as a team. balance does wonders, right? Uh, and then yeah, they let George Kittle have a game, 5 for 58 yards. Debo Samuel was 3 for 102 yards. Ayuk was 2 for 37. Um, Again, you gave up those 2 touchdowns to Kittle, one to Debo. Yeah, um, you know, just overall a horrible game. This offensive line of the Seahawks looks horrible. I don't know what they're going to do. I know they signed Jason Peters again. They got to get him in there. Offensive guard, they got to figure out what they're doing at that position, at the right guard, at left guard. You know, they signed Connor Williams. He's not been having some great games. Again, he's coming off a major injury, so I didn't know how great of an idea that was in the first place. Apparently, you know, he's better than Oluwatimi because he just walked in the door and got the starting job. You know, as the season's getting ready to start. You know, but that whole entire offensive line right now, besides Charles Cross, it's got a lot of questions. You know, and then again, a few things. Again, coaching wise, we've already mentioned the offensive game plan still does not seem right. It's not balanced. And defensive wise, the other coaches, they have something figured out. And you know, it's about knowing your personnel as well, right? So maybe there's nothing wrong with the scheme, right? Normally there's nothing wrong with the scheme. These schemes, everybody runs the same thing, right? And you've heard Mike McDonald say this. Everybody's running the same things. Everybody's been running the same things for decades. The difference is the way you dress it up. Okay? And so I guess other coaches are figuring out the way that Mike McDonald dresses it up. And they're figuring out the way that these specific Seahawks players play in this system, and they're able to take advantage of those weaknesses of those players. Because again, to me, it's not the scheme that's the problem. It's the players not being able to perform in that scheme, or they're just not performing. You know, maybe they wouldn't perform in any scheme. Maybe they're just not up to that level of what you need them to be. You know, that could be the issue. You know, I know we were all hopeful that you know, we're getting new linebackers in here that were, you know, had good grades on Pro Football Focus, and we got safeties that you know, obviously they were going to be better than whatever we had over last year, but you know, people were thinking we were going to be taking a big jump over what we had last year because again, those good grades on Pro Football Focus. But again, we're seeing that, you know, some of these linebackers, some of these safeties, when they come in, they have to step in and they have to be the full-time guy now, and they have to be the featured guy. It's not quite working out the way we would hope it would. And then again, you know, I'll say we are still dealing with a ton of injuries, right? Which makes it tough. And we have played 3 games in 11 days, which is just insane, right? So I don't want to use that as an excuse, but that is the reality. And I can't remember where I heard this, but I was hearing on some podcast where somebody was saying like, it shouldn't be a big deal. These guys are young. It's, you know, I hear about players being tired on short weeks, but they're young. So what's the big deal? No, it's a big deal. It's not just about the amount of energy you have. You know, because there are days in between. It's the amount of time your body has to recover from all those hits you're taking. You know, you don't see fighters, you know, fighting every day, right? They take rests, long rests in between because it takes a physical toll on your body. So it's your body that needs to like actually physically recover. And then we had 2 short weeks in a row. We had 6 days and then 3 days between these last couple of games. Again, 3 games in 11 days. Thankfully, we get the next 10 days off before the next game. But my goodness, like, this team's going to be so beat up. So we need these 10 days. Hopefully, some of these guys are going to have. That's going to be enough time for these guys again to recover, not to gain energy back, but to recover and to, get some of these other guys back who have been injured. It's already getting out of hand, and we're early in the season, so we can't afford to lose much more because, especially across our offensive line, the depth is just not there. Along our defensive front, the depth is not there. It was not addressed. The depth was not addressed in the draft or the free agency. Again, some of you would make fun of me in some of the mock drafts I was doing in the preseason before the draft because I was drafting so many linebackers and defensive linemen. Well, here's the reason why. Look how banged up we are across all those positions, and how weak of a front it looks like we have right now. And the other thing that did kind of hurt watching this game, anybody who was watching any of my mock drafts during the offseason, how many times I put Malik Mustafa. I drafted him in our mock drafts, and I would quite often, draft him in the, 4th, 5th round range because I think he was that good. And yeah, he showed up today for the 49ers. This was his debut because, again, the 49ers are dealing with injuries as well. But he comes up with an interception. He made a couple of big tackles. So it's like, oh man, there's a guy that would have been nice to have. Again, at the end of the year and over the years, we'll continue to watch the draft, this first draft that this staff had, and kind of see how they play out. But it's so far it's a bummer that Byron Murphy misses another game again with injury. Barner was in here tonight. He had 1 catch for 13 yards. And he hasn't been a bright spot lately, so hopefully he's going to keep developing. But, offensive linemen that you drafted, not really, because you drafted multiple, not making an impact. The corners you drafted, not making an impact. Just 6 games into this season, we're and I'm already questioning, like, okay, how good of a draft did we have? I think you guys remember. I think I gave it like a B+ or something. Now I'm already looking ahead to the end of the season and wondering, like, oh, am I gonna, if I regrade this draft at the end of the season, is it gonna be lower than that? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say after this game, what to look forward to for this team, right? I mean, 3 wins in a row, now 3 losses in a row, and it's the same issues that we've had throughout the season, but now they're costing you games. So is this coaching staff, are they going to actually be able to get these issues fixed address these issues and get them fixed. Can they do that? Is it just that the talent is not good enough? Is this defensive front? Do they just not have enough talent to do what Mike McDonald's defense needs to do to be successful? Because again, the defensive front right now is playing so undisciplined and so soft that I tweeted it out at the end of the game when what was the dude's name again? Guerrero. When he had that last run, you can watch that play. And again, I don't even need to watch the all 22. You could just watch it in the replay that we had on the on the TV tape there. A lot of undisciplined play on that play. Players not getting to their gaps, linemen not getting to the gaps, defensive, our linebackers not filling other gaps. Again, the pursuit angles I keep seeing from this team, horrible. That touchdown that Deebo Samuel had, that 76-yarder. I did again because it was on a TV tape, so I didn't get a good angle to see who the safety was. But whoever that was, that totally whiffed on that was just sickening. That was horrible. I mean, the ball was in the air forever. You had forever to get over there. So you had a chance to make a play on the ball. You had a chance to hit the receiver, who he jumped up there. He had to jump up and reach over his head to catch the ball, right? So it wasn't like it was like some great, perfectly thrown ball. It was horribly thrown. But our safety just totally whiffs. I mean, the guy is. It wasn't like he was making a diving catch. He was standing straight up and down and then jumping straight up and down. How do you run over there and just totally whiff hitting the receiver or whiff going for the ball? That was ridiculous. That's going to look horrible on tape, and I hope they embarrass whoever that was when they look at the tape. I mean, they need to show the whole team that and be like, this is not how you take an angle and make a play on something like that. That was embarrassing. Again, I didn't say which safety it was, but that was embarrassing. And when we find out, when I get a better angle so I could see who it was, I guess we'll come back in here and put their name out there, because that was embarrassing. Maybe some of you saw who it was and you could tell who it was, but at this time I was still at work, so I was watching on my phone as well. So I was watching on this little screen, so I didn't see the number and who it was exactly. But what I did see was how embarrassing it was. And those things, again, six games through the season, have not been cleaned up. This coaching staff have not gotten these players to take better pursuit angles, to to tackle better. Again, Mike McDonald did say they practice this every day in practice, but it's not showing up on game day. So something's not connecting here. But we're 3-3 still. We are tied for first place in NFC West, technically, with the 49ers right now, who they got their first division win. We got some tough games coming up. Again, thankfully, we got 10 days to rest, but the Falcons are coming up, and then the Bills, and then the Rams have been looking not so good. So maybe you'll be able to take advantage of that, but then you're at the 49ers again. So, this is not getting easier for a little while. So we need to start getting things together, so that we can stack up some wins. I mean, the Falcons and Bills coming up, with the way our defense is playing and with the way those offenses play, and how high powered they are. I mean, even when you get to the Rams, even though they've been playing horrible this year, by the time we get to them, they're going to be having, Cooper Kupp is probably going to be back. Maybe Nakua's back. They're going to have some of their high powered guys back. And can your defense handle that? Again, from what we've seen to this point, it doesn't look like it. So they need to get things figured out, fixed. They need to figure out their communication. They need to figure out the fundamentals. That's kind of embarrassing to say about a professional team, an NFL team, but it's the truth. Their fundamentals, they're not doing. They're not getting the pursuit angles. They're not wrapping up. They're not staying in their own gap. It's ugly. It's getting ugly right now. I don't know what they're going to do about it right now. I'm I'm to the point where these 3 losses have been so bad. I'm already starting to think to the future, and what do we need in the future to to start fixing this team? And I'm thinking of some drastic measures. I'm thinking about we're gonna have to trade this guy away. We're gonna have to trade that guy away just so that we can get more assets to bring more players in here, to get more draft picks, to start building a team in here, because it's looking like some of these players aren't what we thought they were. Across the defensive line, across the linebackers, across the offensive line, and to me, that's where you win. You win across the offensive line and the defensive line. You win in the trenches. And, guys that have been signed here, guys that have been drafted, maybe they're not looking like what we thought they were across those units. And do you have to take some of your other, playmaking positions, stars at those positions, and try to make moves with them to give yourself more capital to get to be able to get good players across your in the trenches. I don't know. I don't want to put too many ideas out there because we're still so far away from that, and I am overreacting probably a little bit because we are coming off 3 losses in a row, and here one again against a division rival at home. So I don't need to get too wild with throwing my ideas out there, but that's just to say that's the kind of state I'm in, mind state that I'm in right now, and that's what I want to keep this podcast about, is just coming across, as my thoughts as a fan, because there's plenty of other podcasts out there, right? That they're going to get analytical. They're going to break down the game tape. So, I don't need to do that here. I want to be with you. I'm the fan with you. And this is the mind state I am in as a fan. Let me know what state of mind you're in. Okay. If you're feeling better than me, please come talk me off the ledge here, because these 3 losses in a row are looking so bad. I'm ready to throw this season away if we don't see this if we don't see this thing turn around within the next game. I'm ready to say, hey, we got to start thinking about which players we're trading away next season. And if you're with me and you think I'm right and that this is just horrible, hey, let's let's talk about it with each other and try to make each other feel good. All right. But yeah, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Make sure you hit the subscribe button or follow button on YouTube and on the podcast version wherever you're listening. And yeah, another tough loss. We got 10 days before the next game, so I guess we'll take a little break from Seahawks talk. But stay tuned. I got some other things to talk about. The Seattle Kraken season just started, and I know they lost their opener, but it was exciting. So I will have an episode about the Kraken coming here soon, and we'll talk about that too. But for now, that's going to be the end of this episode. So thanks for listening to the Seattle Sports Show, where we watch legends awaken. So take cover, because with the Sea of Sound, you will see us rise to reign supreme and win forever. Go Hawks.